Want an example of how far women have come in America? Try this. On college varsity teams, there are now 5 times as many women as there were in 1972. Why 72? Because that's the year a law was passed called Title IX, stating simply that any school that receives federal funds cannot in any area discriminate based on gender. So what's the problem? The problem is that male athletes on college campuses say they're getting shafted by the way Title IX is being enforced, which is why a group of college coaches is suing the government claiming sexual discrimination against men. These are the daughters of the Title IX revolution. Young women running and swimming their way through college, often with the help of athletic scholarships. Like generations of male athletes before them, many have turned pro. Go! Like the members of the U.S. women's soccer team, which won the World Cup in 1999.
And you were known, if I'm not mistaken, as Title IX babies.
We were Title IX babies.
Julie Foudy was the captain of that winning World Cup team.
Title IX got you a scholarship?
Yes.
Which is why you are a professional athlete today.
Yeah.
Is it that simple?
It is that simple. I think it all trails back to Title IX for sure.
But while women have been making giant strides, hundreds of men's teams have been eliminated. And the men say that also trails back to Title IX. Here's what happened. The government told the schools that the only surefire way to abide by Title IX is by achieving what's called proportionality. That means that if half the student body is female, half the athletes should be as well. So if a college has too many male athletes, it can do one of 2 things. It can add more women's teams. No problem with that, except money. Often a lot of money. Which was why many colleges choose the cheap and easy way. Just cut the number of men. Colleges have cut hundreds of wrestling teams, along with dozens of men's gymnastics, tennis, and track and field teams. Men's swimming is also taking a bath. Remember Olympic gold medalist Greg Louganis? He polished his art on the University of Miami's championship swimming and diving team. That team no longer exists.
I don't think that the American public understands what's going on in colleges. I don't think they understand that they're applying a quota law to sports in college.
Leo Coker, a wrestling coach and an architect of the lawsuit, says Title IX has led college athletics into the world of the absurd.
I once talked to a Division III swim coach. She coached both the men and the women. She was told she could only keep as many men out on the team as women stayed out for the team.
Does this actually happen, that guys are tossed off of a swim team?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
These wrestlers and gymnasts all had their teams eliminated. Jason Lewis and Nate Dodson were gymnasts at Michigan State. Brock Warder used to wrestle at Marquette University, and Colin Robertson was on the wrestling team at Utah's Brigham Young.
Colin, is wrestling popular in Utah? Is it a popular high school sport?
Very popular.
And how many college teams are left in Utah?
There's none. No colleges. Those high school students have nowhere to go.
Title IX was designed to give women more opportunities in sports. Did cutting the wrestling team at Marquette give any women any more opportunities?
It did just the opposite, Bob. Instead of adding a new women's sport, they dropped ours. 23 years ago, there was 107 men's gymnastics teams in this nation.
And now there are
20, and that number is still dwindling.
Dwindling, he says, because colleges are dropping what are called the minor men's sports, the ones that don't draw crowds or make money, while they're investing more and more in just one sport, football. Women who defend Title IX claim that if colleges only spent a little less on football, they could have all the wrestlers they wanted.
When they do cut a men's team, I want them to be honest and straight with why they're cutting that team. And they're not cutting that team because of Title IX. They're cutting that team because it is a budget decision that they make.
Nancy Hogshead Makar was an Olympic swimmer who won 3 gold medals and a silver in the 1984 Olympics. Today she teaches at the Florida Coastal School of Law. She specializes in Title IX cases and says that colleges still spend a lot more on men than on women.
To say that you can't afford men's minor sports is ridiculous.
How much of this money was football and basketball?
A lot of it. What, that doesn't count? There are 3 genders, men, women, and football?
Maybe. But where does that leave 5'5" gymnast Jason Lewis? They don't make football uniforms his size.
You have all these guys who are our size, you know, there's no way we're going to play football ever. I mean, we're not basketball stars. What are our kids going to do? I mean, we're going to be breeding a whole bunch of kids who are sitting in front of the computer eating Funyuns all day and, you know, getting fat, and then we're going to look back and go, oh my goodness, why is our youth in such a sad state of health?
When me and my wife decide to have kids someday, if things keep going as they are, I pray that I'm going to have girls, because that's the only way they're going to have an opportunity to do any college athletics.
If you want to see what it's like when Title IX requirements are met in full, look at the University of Maryland. They've got just the right number of men and women on their teams. The men are more famous, of course. You probably know that Maryland has a championship basketball team.
The Maryland Terrapins.
What you probably don't know is that it also has one of the best women's lacrosse teams in the country.
We've won 7 consecutive women's national championships in the sport of women's lacrosse.
Women must be lining up to get on the lacrosse team.
They are not lining up if they don't have scholarship funds.
But Maryland's athletic director, Debbie Yao, says it doesn't take money to get men on the field.
We have many, many more men who would like to be a member of, say, the wrestling team without any scholarship aid at all. They just want to be there. They want to be a member of the team.
If a guy wants to join, can't he? Can't he just say,
no,
hey?
No, he can't. Only a limited number of them can.
You have men who come here and want to wrestle, and they can't wrestle, and there are more spaces on the women's lacrosse team than you can fill.
Exactly.
What's it like telling a male wrestler that he can't wrestle?
They cry. A number of them do, because it's so devastating to them to not be able to participate.
And the men point out that Title IX isn't just about sports. It says that colleges cannot discriminate according to gender, period. So why only enforce it in sports? Why not in mechanical engineering, or physics, or dance?
I think that if we're not going to go into collegiate dance programs and tell them to get rid of 80% of their women so that they're proportional, then I don't know why we're going into collegiate athletic programs and doing that.
Because, Mr. Coker, there aren't that many guys who are applying to the women's dance programs.
Well, it may be that there aren't as many men interested in dance as women. But you know what else is a possibility? There might not be as many women interested in athletics as there are men. And I'm saying this law does not allow for that possibility.
Women are not as interested in sports as men. Buy it?
You know, I find that argument as insulting as when, they used to say, women really aren't interested in owning property. Women really aren't interested in voting, right? They said it with a straight face, and they meant it.
Men never had to prove that they were interested in athletics. Why do we have to? Where does the double standard come from?
Wherever it comes from, even after 30 years of Title IX, most schools are still not in compliance. The Department of Education is continuing to try to change that. And at Arizona State University, it got results. Arizona State put more female athletes on teams, and they built new facilities. A soccer field and this $3 million softball stadium just for the women. Associate Athletic Director Sandy Hatfield Clubb took us on a tour.
Is it a gift from Title IX?
It is part of Title IX. It's part of our Title IX compliance. Yes, it is.
But the Department of Education is playing hardball. It says that even with all these improvements, Arizona State is still on the wrong side of the law. That's because while 52% of the students are women, only 40% of the athletes are. Here at Arizona State, as at so many other campuses, it's turned into a numbers game. The government told the university it needs 80 more women athletes, so the university needs more sports for women, and is now considering here in the middle of the desert the creation of a women's varsity rowing team.
Let's face it, if you add rowing, you're going to have a women's rowing team. You're not going to have a men's rowing team.
That's correct. We're not.
Because the whole idea is to raise the number of women.
Raise the number of opportunities for women. That's correct.
And there's nothing quite like rowing to do that. The teams are huge and the cost per athlete is very low. With 60 women, some boats, and some oars, you can float gently down the stream all the way to Title IX compliance. So many colleges have added teams that they're advertising for female rowers on their websites. Never rowed before? No problem. Even with no experience, you may be eligible for a scholarship. It's great for the college, great for the girls, and it really ticks off the boys.
They're 4-year-olds. We've been wrestling since we were 4, and these women are going to become part of a Division I.
And possibly get a full scholarship.
Possibly get money to try to do something they've never done before. There's no fairness in that.
Some of the men who are being dropped from college sports are champions.
Freshman Steve McCain of UCLA.
Gymnast Steve McCain was ranked number 3 in the nation and was training for the Olympics at UCLA when the school announced in 1994 that it was dropping its men's gymnastics team, a team which had produced a steady stream of Olympians.
Everyone in the world that knows anything about gymnastics knows that UCLA had a great program. And here it is, gone. You know, like that, just wiped out.
With his team gone and his training disrupted, Steve McCain's hopes of going to the '96 Olympics were also wiped out.
That's it. I would have to say that this guy is not going to Atlanta.
It's unfortunate because you would like to think that someone who really has pursued something for this long and it's something this noble, you would like to think that there would be, that would actually mean something.
McCain left UCLA to start training full-time and made the Olympic team in 2000. But he says he's worried about America's future Olympic chances. Most of the sports that have been dropped by colleges are men's Olympic sports. And as we said, a group of male coaches led by the wrestlers is suing the government, claiming that Title IX is encouraging sexual discrimination against men.
We now open the first hearing of the Secretary's Commission on Opportunity in Athletics.
In response to the lawsuit, the government has set up a commission to study Title IX and consider making changes. But some of the women we spoke to are afraid that the commission might swing the pendulum back and knock them off the field once again.
So you think the commission is a serious threat?
I think it's an enormous threat to all the gains that women have made in sports over the last 30 years.
Some people say that what you're really out to do is destroy Title IX.
I think I'm trying to enforce Title IX because it says don't discriminate on the basis of sex. Well, when you're telling males to clean out their locker because they're male, because we have too many of you, boy, if that's not discrimination on the basis of sex, I don't know what is.